You notice it first on a random Tuesday. Nothing is actually wrong. Your bills are paid, your phone is full, your calendar has things on it, but somehow everything feels flat. So why does that happen? Why do some men suddenly come alive the moment they pick up a guitar, start restoring an old truck, train for a marathon, or spend 6 months trying to make the perfect brisket? And why does losing that thing sometimes change their entire personality?
The strange part is that it has almost nothing to do with the hobby itself. You can see it in a guy who won't stop talking about espresso. Yesterday, he barely knew what a portafilter was. Now he's explaining extraction times like he's defending a PhD. You laugh. Then you realize you've done the exact same thing with something else.
Maybe it was lifting. Maybe it was woodworking. Maybe it was fantasy football, fishing, coding, or trying to beat one impossible level in a video game that absolutely did not deserve that much of your weekend. The object changes. The pattern doesn't. Because you rarely become obsessed with the thing, you become obsessed with who you are while doing it.
Most people think confidence comes before mastery. It usually happens the other way around. But that's only half the story. Think back to being a kid. Nobody had to convince you to get good at something. You spent hours trying to land the same skateboard trick. You kept shooting basketballs after everyone else went home. You replayed the same video game level 50 times because somehow this time was going to be different.
Nobody paid you. Nobody cared. But every tiny improvement felt enormous. Children collect progress. Adults often collect distractions. That's a much bigger difference than it sounds. Here's something odd. A psychologist once noticed that people report some of their happiest moments not while relaxing, but while doing things that are surprisingly difficult.
Not impossible, just difficult enough that they almost fail. That's weird, isn't it? Because if comfort created satisfaction, binge-watching 12 episodes should leave you feeling like a superhero. Instead, it somehow makes folding laundry feel emotionally complicated. Your brain remembers effort longer than ease. That's why finishing something feels different than consuming something.
One expands your identity. The other mostly passes the time. A friend tells you he's thinking about learning guitar. 6 months later, he finally buys one. 3 months after that, it's sitting in the corner collecting dust next to the air fryer everyone swore would change their life. What happened? Did he stop wanting it? Or did something else happen first?
This is where it gets sneaky. Mastery isn't exciting because you're good, it's exciting because you're becoming someone. Every small improvement quietly answers a question your brain keeps asking. Am I actually capable of changing? Every completed rep, every cleaner weld.
Every successful recipe, every page written, it's all evidence. And evidence changes identity faster than compliments ever will. Your identity believes receipts, not speeches. That's why being told you're talented feels nice for about 30 seconds. Proving something to yourself can last for years.
History is full of examples that sound ridiculous today. Samurai practiced writing poetry. Roman soldiers carved intricate decorations. Medieval craftsmen sometimes spent decades building cathedrals they would never live to see completed. Why spend that much effort on something you'll never finish? Because mastery has never been only about results. Sometimes the process is the reward pretending to be work.
Now here's the contradiction. The more you chase status, the emptier status often feels. But the more you chase mastery, status has a funny habit of following anyway. People trust someone who's clearly obsessed with getting better, not because perfection is attractive, because commitment is. You can usually spot it within 5 minutes. There's a mechanic who treats every strange engine noise like it's a detective mystery.
A barber who somehow remembers exactly how every customer likes their fade. A teacher who still gets excited explaining the same lesson after 20 years. They're doing ordinary jobs, yet they don't seem ordinary. Mastery makes repetitive things look alive. That's surprisingly contagious. Ever notice how one passionate person can make you interested in something you previously couldn't care less about? You leave a YouTube video knowing far more about Japanese knives than any reasonable person should. How did that happen? Enthusiasm is persuasive because it signals purpose before words ever do. People don't just admire skill, they admire direction. Without something to master, your attention starts looking for substitutes. Suddenly, every notification feels important. Every online argument feels urgent. Every tiny inconvenience feels personal. An idle mind doesn't stay empty. It fills itself, usually with nonsense. Here's a tiny experiment. Think about your last genuinely satisfying day. Not the easiest day. The satisfying one. There's a good chance you worked harder than usual. You solved something, built something, learned something, finished something. Your brain often confuses exhaustion with meaning. But meaningful effort feels different afterward. It leaves energy behind instead of taking it away. Purpose often arrives disguised as fatigue. That's easy to miss. A man retires after 40 years. At first, everyone envies him. No alarm clock, no deadlines.
No meetings. 3 months later, his wife notices something strange. He's grumpier, less patient, restless. Nothing terrible happened. He simply lost the thing that quietly organized his days. Humans don't just need free time. They need friction.
Too little challenge doesn't create peace. It often creates drift. That's one reason so many men throw themselves into restoring old cars, gardening, woodworking, running, or building backyard projects nobody asked for. From the outside, it looks unnecessary. From the inside, it feels essential. Because every challenge quietly whispers, keep becoming. The opposite whispers something much scarier. You're finished. Nobody wants to hear that, especially not from themselves. The internet accidentally revealed this in a funny way. Watch any comment section under a video where someone spends 2,000 hours making a tiny handmade object. Half the comments say the same thing. I don't even want this. I just respect the dedication. That's fascinating. People admire sustained attention almost more than the finished product. Maybe because attention has become one of the rarest things anyone can own. The modern world sells convenience. Your brain still craves competence. Those aren't the same thing. The easier life becomes, the more valuable difficult things start feeling. Not because suffering is noble, because earned progress creates memories effortless comfort never can. Think about the stories you tell friends. They're almost never about the easiest day of your life. They're about the road trip that went completely wrong, the project that nearly failed, the race you barely finished. The ridiculous mistake that somehow became your favorite memory. Struggle has amazing public relations. But here's the final twist. The thing you choose to master isn't actually the point. It never was. The guitar could become photography. The marathon could become parenting.
The woodworking could become building a business. The object changes as your life changes. The deeper pattern stays the same. You need something that keeps introducing you to future versions of yourself. Without that, every day starts looking suspiciously like the last one. And that's when life quietly starts feeling smaller without you knowing why. Maybe that's why the men who seem most alive aren't always the richest, strongest, or smartest. They're usually just chasing something that keeps making them slightly better than they were yesterday.
Not because someone demanded it, because somewhere along the way they discovered a secret hiding in plain sight. Mastery isn't really about mastering the craft. It's about refusing to let your identity become finished. So here's the question. What are you trying to master right now? Or has something else quietly started mastering you? Tell me in the comments.